Mark Levin here. After any presidential election, I take time to reevaluate my own financial investments. That's why I continue to invest in gold for help with my financial protection. When it comes to gold, I only trust Advantage Gold. They're a top gold company in America, and that's who I turn to for my own gold purchases. Call them now at 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000 for a free gold investment kit. And see if you qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. And tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. I hope you had a good weekend. The battle begins, and it begins tomorrow with the nomination of Pete Hegseth and other nominees to different cabinet posts, going through the process, 13 of them in total, and others. Rush Limbaugh, clearly one of my best friends, used to talk about the echo chamber. I know what he means today. Several weeks ago, maybe over a month ago, when Pete Hegseth was first nominated, and then Kash Patel, I got behind this microphone, and I was on my Fox show, on my Blaze show, and I said, every one of President Trump's nominees must be confirmed. And what else did I say? I said every one of his nominees must be confirmed, even if I don't like all of them. One in particular with the Labor Department. So be it. It's not about me. It's not about any individual senator. These are the people Donald Trump believes he needs to advance the agenda to save the country, the agenda to protect our border, the agenda to open up the economy, the agenda to protect our national security, our Constitution. He won in a massive landslide. I didn't. We didn't. He did. And no single senator from Maine, from Alaska, from North Carolina, from Utah, none of these rhino moderate wimps would be in the majority, but for Donald Trump winning a landslide victory. We have a Republican Senate because of Trump, not because of the genius of Mitch McConnell and his political action committee. In spite of it. And if he'd helped out just a little bit in some of these states, we'd have 3 more Republican senators. That said, not one of these nominees deserves to be defeated. Not one. Particularly considering the Democrat Party standard. Who they nominated for president this time. Who they nominated for president the time before. Their Secretary of State. Their National Security Advisor. Their Secretary of Defense. Their Department of Justice. The Attorney General. They are horrendous individuals. If not evil. Chuck Schumer wants to use the nomination process, as the Democrats do, to character assassinate individual members that have been nominated by the president. Starting with Pete Hegseth. We all know Pete Hegseth. He's a buddy for all of us. Good, decent man, a faithful Christian. A man of great honor, a man who stepped up to defend this nation, where the vast majority of people attacking him in the Senate have not. Starting with Schumer and Adam Schiff and the rest of the reprobates. What else did I say many weeks ago? That on this program we will be monitoring. We will be monitoring the Republicans to see how they conduct themselves in each one of these hearings. We will be monitoring the Republicans. And if the usual Republicans and others decide that they're smarter than President Trump, that they're going to replace his judgment with their judgment, even though they have the power to do it under the advice and consent clause in the Constitution. But if they're not going to rally around Trump and behind Trump and we, the people who put Donald Trump into the presidency, then they must be defeated. And I will keep a list right here at Ground Zero, starting with the Hegseth nomination. We will watch them all. We will watch them all. And I will keep a list. And you have power. You demonstrated that in the last election. And we are heard all over this country, every corner of the country. I was at an event on Saturday in Florida. Not really an event. At an Orthodox synagogue, which I rarely go to, but I went. And there were individuals there who had come from Australia. Individuals there who have come from Britain, other parts of the world, who came up to me, who listened to this radio program, who watched the Fox show. We reach every corner of this country, every corner of the globe. We reach Maine. We reach Utah. We reach Alaska. We reach these states where these Republican senators think they know better than everybody else, better than you and me. Of course they have a right to vote no. And we have a right to end their political careers. And by God, it's about time we do it. It's about time we do it. There's a Republican Senate majority thanks to Donald Trump and you, the people. And you, the people. These smear campaigns by the Democrats and their media, the New York Slimes, the Washington Compost, the networks, MSLSD, the Constipated News Network, they're not new. They're par for the course. From Robert Bork and Clarence Thomas forward. They're par for the course. And it's a strategy. It is a strategy. Excuse me. And Schumer has let loose the dogs. Schumer is an evil, evil piece of you-know-what. He's a power-hungry mental munchkin. That's what he is. He will even walk over people of his own faith if it means getting power and holding power from AOC and the anti-Semite left. It's fine by him. He'll trash Netanyahu just to protect himself from the Islamists within his own party. Have you ever seen a bigger sleazeball in your life? Well, he's now leading the effort behind the scenes to destroy Hegseth, to destroy Patel, to destroy a whole bunch of them. Now, they get support from the Washington Post. This is pretty funny, actually. Here's an article at Red State The Washington Post is dying like democracy does in darkness. That's the old commercial line that they used over there at the Post. Washington Post has officially lost 90% of its readership. In other words, but for Bezos, it would be bankrupt. It would be broke. Be dead. It's not a surprise that over the course of the years, its audience has more or less completely abandoned it, leaving it a shadow of its former self, a Goliath in the news industry. According to Semaphore.com, Washington Post has bled out its traffic. That bleed was heavy. From 2021, it lost 90% of its daily users. Over the last 4 years, web traffic has cratered. According to internal data shared with Semaphore in recent weeks, the Post's regular daily traffic last year sunk to less than a quarter of what it was at its peak in January 2021. That month, the Post briefly reached a high of around 22.5 million daily active users following the attack, but by the middle of 2024, ready? Its daily users hovered around 2.5 to 3 million daily users. I have much more listeners than that, many more listeners than that every night right here. And so what does this paper do? Like it has some influence. It puts out a graphic today. I guess the last 10% of its readership is just too stupid to comprehend the written word. So they put out a graphic. And they're telling you who to support and who oppose. Of course, they like Marco Rubio. Rubio will be the guy they all point to, the Democrats, and say, see, if you give us people like Rubio, we'll vote for them. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, they're endorsing him. Who is he? Who the hell knows? Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth, thumbs down. Doesn't have the temperament. You know, he was a Fox host. Attorney General Pam Bondi, they support. That's a good one. Doug Burgum, thumbs up. Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, thumbs up. Commerce, Howard Lutnick, thumbs up. Labor, Lori Chavez DeRemer. I don't like this woman in the least. She was handpicked by union bosses. But nonetheless, I said all of them. Lori Chavez DeRemer, thumbs up. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., thumbs down. Housing and Urban Development, Scott Turner, thumbs up. See, a lot of these are sort of backbencher departments. Thumbs up. Sean Duffy, Transportation. Now explain this to me. Wouldn't you assume that they'd be opposed to Duffy? Isn't it obvious what they're doing? They're trying to show you all the ones they support in order to try and take out the ones they don't support. Really, they support Duffy? Chris Wright, Energy, thumbs up. Education, Linda McMahon, thumbs up. Now, they hate McMahon. But again, it's a strategy they're employing. Doug Collins, VA, thumbs up. Homeland Security. Kristi Noem, thumbs up. Cabinet level officials, Lee Zeldin, EPA, thumbs up. John Ratcliffe, CIA, thumbs up. U.S. Trade Rep, James Greer, whoever the hell that is, thumbs up. Ambassador to the UN, Stefanik, thumbs up. SBA, Kelly Loeffler, thumbs up. Now, here's a good one. Russ Vought. I don't know Russ Vought, but I know he's good. I don't think I've ever met the guy, but I know he's good. Thumbs down. Why? Well, you know, we'll throw him a couple at ag and here and there. But let's go after the key ones, like OMB. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, thumbs down. So they say no on Gabbard, no on Voight. Let me get it right. And be accurate. No on Hegseth. And they will oppose Kash Patel. And so my attitude's a little different than theirs, America. The ones they oppose, we have to support stronger than ever. Even if I disagree with one or two of them. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. As I said weeks and weeks and weeks ago, and now the echo chambers picked it up. By the way, this echo chamber is very, very interesting to me. My own friends participate in this scam. On Friday, was it Friday? Yeah, it was Friday. On Dana Perino's show, Bill Hemmer's show, I think John Roberts was sitting in, I was asked to call in and give my opinion on what Judge Merchan had just done. I'd been to the eye doctor for my, needle in the eye. I didn't think I could make it, but I made it. And they had the excellent legal analysts giving their opinions. I had a different opinion. I'm not caught up in the appellate process of New York. I think that's a disaster. The whole idea is a disaster. And so I gave my opinion. And we have it. I want to post it, but I don't. I gave my opinion again on Fox on Sunday. Gave my opinion behind this microphone. That Friday, gave my opinion on the Blaze. So it's out there. And among the things I said, Mr. Producer, in America was this thing, that this Judge Merchan did, no penalties of any kind on Trump, that was a calculated evil maneuver by him. Because if he had penalized Trump in any way, certainly prison or an ankle bracelet or this, you've heard me discuss this, then obviously the Supreme Court would have stepped in. But he didn't do that. Instead, it's the scarlet letter, as I said, in the way I defined it. So now I have people going on and on. Our buddy Alan Dershowitz says it like 2 days later. Right, Mr. Producer? And they keep quoting Alan Dershowitz, which is fine by me. I love Alan Dershowitz. And then we have hosts who bring Alan on and say, he said it on my show first. What is with these people? It's the echo chamber. Rush was right. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Did you see what the Federal Reserve did literally days after President Trump's victory? It's lowered interest rates by a quarter. Do you know why it did that? It's worried about the economy. It's worried about the fact that jobs aren't being created. We're seeing all kinds of shifts in our portfolios, and it's important to stay aware. That's why I'm urging everyone to diversify and consider gold as one of your financial shields. Now, gold has weathered every kind of economic downturn throughout history. I want you to call Advantage Gold. They're the best of the best, folks. I've dealt with all of them. They're the best. They're my gold company. 1-800-900-8000. Get a free gold investment kit to see how you can get started with gold. I recommend Advantage Gold to anyone who's serious about protecting their wealth, and that's you. Call 800-900-8000 for your free gold investment kit, and you can even qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Call them now. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. You'll be very happy with them. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. The Senate Democrats will go over the allegations against Hegseth, not because they believe them, but because it's what they do. Senate Democrats are perversely obsessed with sex as a weapon against GOP nominees. They don't care who makes the allegations. They don't care if they're knowingly false. They don't care if they're unfair. The goal is to smear, humiliate, destroy. And they know there are a handful of GOP senators who have no fidelity of any kind to their party, or even more, the incoming president, even though he won by a landslide and gave them their majority. And I guarantee you they've already been collaborating and colluding with the media, their counterpart Democrats in the media, to inform them about what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, and even the questions. Because this is the nature of the beast. I'll be right back. The markets are volatile. They're shooting up wildly only to drop without warning. The Fed just cut rates yet again, this time by a quarter point. Why? Because the Federal Reserve is not confident the economy is strong. In fact, last month only 12,000 jobs were created, all of them in the government. That's why I'm telling you again, diversification is crucially important. And diversification with gold is what I do. And the company I use, and I've used many, the best one is Advantage Gold. Call them now at 800-900-8000 for a free gold investment kit to see how gold gold can help you diversify your investments and take advantage now. Now, gold has been helping to protect and grow wealth for people for thousands of years. And in these times, it can be more crucial than ever. When it comes to gold, I trust Advantage Gold. They're one of the top gold companies in America. They're who I turn to when I purchase gold. Call them now, 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000 now for a free gold investment kit to see how gold can help you with your investment portfolio, a.k.a. your bank accounts, your paycheck. And when you do, you could qualify for $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Folks, don't wait. Call them now, 800-900-8000, and tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Mark Levin, radio's hell-raising intellectual. Call now, 877-381-3811.
Yes, the Democrat Party hates America, as you're about to witness again. So let me underscore. The Senate Democrats will go over the allegations against Hegseth, not because they believe them, but because it is what they do. The Senate Democrats are perversely obsessed with sex as a weapon against GOP nominees. They don't care who makes the allegations. They don't care if they're knowingly false. They don't care if they're unfair. The goal is to smear, humiliate, destroy. And they know there are a handful of GOP senators who have no fidelity of any kind to their party, or even more, to the incoming president, even though he won by a landslide and gave them their majority. And they have undoubtedly and already been coordinating and collaborating with the media surrogates who will be ready to pounce. It is a strategy that has been employed for about half a century. The party that has destroyed women's sports, women's rights, and even the word women will pose as the defender of women. They will raise their voices, pound the table, act incensed and outraged as they snicker and high-five each other when no one is looking. The Democrat Party is a hideous party. It is incapable of reform or modernization. It is stuck in its birth as a party of hate, deceit, and driven by power, Mr. Producer. And we will see this because Schumer, as I said, has unleashed the dogs. This is how they hope. And this is how they expect to weaken Donald Trump. How do we know this? They already leaked it. That's how we know it. And so the way I see this, America, is this is a litmus test for the Republicans in the Senate on whether they abide by election results, on whether they respect you, that is, we the people, in a landslide election that handed them a majority. I don't know who this new senator is from Utah, but apparently he's a Mitt Romney type. He's a puke. We know Susan Collins all too well. Murkowski, she's already basically said she marches to her own drummer right off the cliff and she could give a damn. Those are just three. We've got this guy in North Carolina. We've got a couple others. You think they're bigger than the electorate? Bigger than the newly minted president. You don't see this on the Democrat side. You don't see this on the Democrat side. This is the way it works. But we can do something about it, America. We can do something about this, and we will. And so I am warning, in the greatest expression of small d democratic thought, because the vote is the vote. It's not blackmail. It is what it is. If any of these Republican senators take steps to weaken Trump right out of the box, that you and I will do everything we can to defeat them. And I have a long memory. I don't care if they were recently elected or not. Notice most of them aren't recently elected, but the guy in Utah was. I don't know what's happening to Utah and the Republican Party there, but Romney and now this clown, the hell's the problem? It's a conservative state. Obviously, the process is the problem. But since it affects many of us who are not in Utah, we're going to have to resolve that. Murkowski changed the election laws in Alaska so she can't lose. But she'll lose next time. She'll lose next time. I'd rather have Hegseth than her. And same with Collins. Collins likes to run as the thoughtful, independent New Englander. No, she's not. She's a self-serving, power-hungry reprobate. It's what she is. I'm sorry, is this offending anybody? Like I give a you-know-what? That's why people always say to me, going to a Republican convention, you go, and what? To be spat upon? Why the hell would I go there? I'm here with you. We the people, my audience, our family. That's what we're doing. If you have Republicans who are giving aid and comfort to a Democrat Party that hates America, that is more radical than it's ever been, what are we supposed to do? Oh, that's okay, advice and consent. We are well aware of what the Constitution provides. That's not what's being debated. And these are the same Republicans who rubber stamp Democrats in left and right, like Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham. What? The president has a right. Except when it comes to Hegseth, he starts raising questions. It is we here behind this microphone who took on Joni Ernst and Lindsey Graham. Nobody else. Nobody else in conservative talk radio. Till we cleared the field. Said, it's okay, boys and girls. You can do this. It's okay. And the audience, which is massive, which is activist. You. Remember, we talked about it. Make the calls. Make your voices heard, and you did. And so the MAGA says, MAGA, that's us. Me and you. The Tea Party, that's us. The two of you and me. The Reaganites, the Tea Party activists, and yes, the Trump Revolution. Many of us came to the Trump Revolution after the 2016 primary. But we came. We're here. We're strong. We're united. That's where we are, and that's who we are. This isn't about a senator's right to vote how they want to. Of course they have a right to vote how they want to. We have a right to vote how we want to. And a right to do what we want to do. All right, I'm going to move on. This thing that's going on in California is sick to it makes me sick to my stomach to watch the people suffering. Now they're up to at least 24 dead. You know there's many more than that. God knows the amount of the damage here and how long it's going to take to do anything to fix this. And the Democrats are they're starting to get their legs back. Rather than apologize, rather than change course, rather than contribute to humanity, now they're whining against Trump. He's politicizing it. Oh, it's racist to challenge the Castro-Marxist lunatic mayor of L.A. Go screw yourselves. We're not going to be intimidated. Nature started it, and mankind exacerbated it. And by mankind, for all of you with your pronouns, by mankind, what we mean in this case, the left, the Democrats. They never want to take credit for what they've done. They never want, I'll put it this way, they never want responsibility for their ideology. They never want responsibility for their incompetence. They never want responsibility for how they abuse their power. So they throw around these shibboleths. They throw around these ambiguities. Climate change. Shut up. Climate change had nothing to do with a lack of water. Had nothing to do without having these limited slow burns. Nothing to do with what you're doing to California. Climate change. As they howl at the moon. And they pray at the stars. Now, I understand Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders hates America. He's a Marxist. That's what he is. He hates private property rights. He hates our standard of living. When you're happy, he's angry. I got it. He's a Stalinist. He went to a Stalinist kibbutz in Israel. Not just your typical left-wing kibbutz, as most of them are. No, he went to a Stalinist kibbutz. Just like Thomas Friedman at the New York Slimes. I'm on to you, boys. This is who they are. Climate change. It's existential, don't you know? No. The Democrat Party is existential, don't you know? Climate change didn't create slavery. Climate change didn't create segregation. Climate change didn't create Jim Crow. Climate change didn't create eugenics. Climate change didn't create what's taking place in California. Imagine that. A wildfire. Gee, they've never had that in California before. Imagine that, a wildfire that's out of control because the meatheads who run that damn state ran it into the ground. They'd rather spend money on other stuff. Get it? Newsom. The hell did Newsom do the last 4 years? He's running around like he's a president in waiting. Look at the guy. He's a complete menace. He's a buffoon. He really is a buffoon. Donald Trump should come here and visit. What are you worried about Donald Trump for, moron? Run your damn state. There's dead people. There's people who have absolutely nothing. There's people who are missing. Run your damn state. Worry about the water. Don't worry about Donald Trump. You jerk. They circle the wagons, these Democrats, don't they? They don't have the Murkowskis and the Collinses there, do they? Shooting them in the back. And yet, they deserve it, politically, of course. They deserve it. They got one guy every now and then who speaks out, Fetterman. And because he speaks out now and then, everybody's, oh, it's great, there's Fetterman. Don't get me wrong. I like the fact that he does what he does. He's sort of an old-time moderate. I got it. We'll see. He's young yet, but we'll see. Meaning a Senate term. So far, so good. But he votes down the line with Schumer. Hello. But I'm not opposed to him. Kind of like the guy. It's like this Richie Torres guy who's in a district, a very left-wing Democrat district with about 7 Jews in it. He's right on the border with AOC. He's a strong Israel supporter. He believes in securing the border on immigration. He wanted Amazon to come in. You know, we got to listen to people like that. Say, whoa, wait a minute. Who's this Richie Torres? Who's this Fetterman? It's what I said about Elon Musk. Yeah, we're going to get Elon Musk. No, you're not. You're not going to get anybody. And then we have this guy, Zuckerberg. I don't trust Zuckerberg, but here's the point. He's at least making motions, right? Motions. And so far, that's all they are. But he's now hated by Google. All the little commie rat bastards who work for Google. They get their salaries, their overpaid salaries. They work from home, in their basements, in their underwear, eating tasty cakes, smoking pot. You know, like average Americans. So anyway, so there you are. So why would we trash Elon Musk? Well, because H-1B visas. I see my friend, the governor of Florida. If I read correctly, Mr. Producer, he opposes them too. H-1B visas have been around a very, very, very long time. It's not open-ended. There's a cap on those too. It's not like everybody with an advanced degree and success in aeronautics gets to come to the United States. It doesn't work that way. But count me in favor. Not without a cap, but in favor. If we can get people from other countries who are the very smartest that they have, and I've explained this before, why wouldn't we? We wouldn't have the advances in space that we have now, but for the fact that we used some of the smartest German scientists that we get our hands on after World War II. Werner von Braun. Read about him. The Redstone Arsenal, Huntsville, Alabama. It's a beautiful place. These are smart people. Well, but I'm against it. Against what, you idiot? What are you talking about? We were able to leap over the Soviets in Sputnik thanks to guys like this. It's okay. It's okay. He didn't put anybody out of work. They created tens of thousands, and if you go down the supply chain and the information chain and the technology chain, hundreds of thousands of American jobs in this country. Werner von Braun and his fellow Germans at Redstone Arsenal. In addition to helping us technologically and militarily. I'm against the H-1B. Shut up. Doesn't mean everybody gets to come in. Doesn't mean we want everybody in. You still have vetting processes, or are supposed to. You still have limitations on it. But what is this? I'm against it. What does that mean? We all admit that our colleges and universities have gone to hell. That what they excel at is teaching terrorism and Marxism. We all admit this, don't we? We have a lot of smart people in this country in spite of the colleges and universities. And they should have an opportunity getting jobs too. Well, how do we do that? We create them. How do we create them? It's called capitalism. It's called economic growth. It's called rewarding success. Gee, I remember when we used to do that and our government used to support it. Well, that's how you create enough jobs for homegrown brainiacs and have some of the brainiacs around the world contribute to our society. What the hell's wrong with that, Mr. Producer? Nothing. There are people who believe they're spouting conservatism when they don't even understand what the hell it is. Or populism when they don't even understand what the hell that is. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Did you see what the Federal Reserve did literally days after President Trump's victory? It lowered interest rates by 1/4. Do you know why it did that? It's worried about the economy. It's worried about the fact that jobs aren't being created. We're seeing all kinds of shifts in our portfolios, and it's important to stay aware. That's why I'm urging everyone to diversify and consider gold as one of your financial shields. Now, gold has weathered every kind of economic downturn throughout history. I want you to call Advantage Gold. They're the best of the best, folks. I've dealt with all of them. They're the best. They're my gold company. 1-800-900-8000. Get a free gold investment kit to see how you can get started with gold. I recommend Advantage Gold to anyone who's serious about protecting their wealth, and that's you. Call 800-900-8000 for your free gold investment kit, and you can even qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Call them now. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. You'll be very happy with them. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. You notice Donald Trump isn't an isolationist either, as I discussed last week. He wants Greenland. He wants the Panama Canal back. He wants Canada. I want nothing to do with Canada, but that's just one man's opinion. Greenland's even thinking about it now. It's a brilliant move. You know, it truly is. Doesn't mean he's a warmonger or an interventionist or a hawk or a neocon, you know, a Jew. Doesn't mean he's any of those things. No. By the way, who is this a-hole Sachs? Is that the guy's name who's an economist who pretends to be a historian? Have you heard of this guy, Mr. Producer? Making the rounds. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Netanyahu's fault that we invaded Iraq. Now, Netanyahu wasn't even prime minister. Did you know that at the time? He's a real hater, this punk. I understand Tucker's promoting him. I'm happy to debate Tucker or any of the others anytime they wish on their history. Why not? Why wouldn't I? But this guy Sachs, they elevate this guy? You got to be able to do better than that. Come on. If you hate Israel, you can do better than Sachs, can't you? Apparently not. How dare the Jews want to survive and live? How dare they have their own country, which they had 4,000 years ago? How dare they don't roll over and play dead and allow their women to be raped and their babies to be decapitated? What the hell is wrong with these people? What is wrong with them? I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, Deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. I started to watch Joe Biden in, his 14th farewell address. It was so heinous, I had to shut it off. This guy's taking credit, number one, for the great achievements of others, including Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel and the Israeli people, specifically the IDF and so forth. He's taking credit for it, even though he undermined them every step of the way. Talks about we have more allies now than we ever did. Our allies can't stand the man. I just, the delusion, and it's not just him because of his mental state. This guy, Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, same thing. Same thing. We're stronger now, don't you know? And it's possible that there can be a deal for the hostages in Israel. And, of course, Biden will take credit for that, even though he has almost nothing to do with it. Although some of the things I'm hearing concerns me, like 3,000 Palestinian prisoners of various sorts and kinds for 35 hostages. I don't know that that's the case. These are rumors I'm hearing. It's because the Israelis value human life far more than Hamas does. But they want to take credit for it. If there is a deal, I hope it's not a bad deal, but if there is a deal, it's Donald Trump and Netanyahu who did it. Netanyahu has held firm. And the funny thing is, Blinken about a week or 10 days ago confessed. He didn't mean to. He confessed. He said that the pressure that we placed on the Israelis no doubt gave motivation to Hamas not to release hostages, and from time to time they came close, but the more we pressured Israel, the more they saw that as us undermining the state of Israel. The idiot, in so many words, blurted it out, but we've talked about this from day one. It's so obvious. But I'll give you an example. I'm not going to put you through the water torture, effectively, of Joe Biden and his comments today at the State Department, but I will give you Jake Sullivan. Because nobody accuses Jake Sullivan of having advanced dementia. No. Pathological liar? Yes. And, of course, there's his buddy Jake Tapper. Cut 5, go.
As we come to the waning days of the Biden administration, where across the globe could you point and say the United States is safer because of what we did here?
Well, I'd start by saying our alliances are stronger than we found them 4 years ago. They're stronger than they've been in decades. NATO is more powerful, purposeful.
No. No, it's not. Germany is a disastrous partner in NATO. NATO is not more powerful at all. The former head of NATO said, yes, Donald Trump is the one that helped NATO build up because he forced them, not all of them, but most of them, to spend more money on their own defense. Now, of course, fake Jake Tapout, he's not prepared to deal with this. He deals in, generalities, but go ahead.
Our alliances in the Asia-Pacific are at all-time highs.
Our alliances in the Asian-Pacific are at all-time highs. Let me tell you what's going on in the Asian-Pacific. China is on the move. China is now building those sort of pontoon boats that we used during World War II. You saw a lot of movies, and maybe black and whites, on the invasion on D-Day and so forth, those kind of boats. Well, they're building, obviously they're more updated. They're building those kind of boats for their eventual invasion of Taiwan. And I read today where China has actually land grabbed from India and now has claimed some of these mountainous areas as their counties. They have grabbed islands off the Philippines. They have threatened islands that have always belonged to the Japanese. They have seized international waters, navigable waters off the coast of Vietnam. They literally shoot fishing boats, Vietnamese fishing boats, out of the ocean. They claim the South China Sea is their own. They did all this mostly in the last 4 years. They threatened South Korea. Bet you didn't know that. And it goes on and on and on. So Australia, Japan, the Philippines, even Vietnam are looking for ways to align with us. Not because we're so brilliant diplomatically, but because China's out of control. We haven't done crap to confront them in any way, even economically. And so this fool views that as we have these great alliances now in that part of the world. It's crazy. Go ahead.
Competitors are weaker across the board. Russia's weaker, Iran's weaker, China's weaker.
Excuse me, dummy. We're weaker because you've undermined our military. You've undermined our military. You haven't taken the steps necessary to replace our armaments as we use them in other parts of the world. I mean, truly, America, it's so pathetic. China has the biggest navy now on the face of the earth. They have a modern nuclear system. They're upgrading even that. We are not modernizing our nukes. We are not. Even Russia has modernized its nukes. And they want you to believe we're stronger than before. We have mothballed about 16 ships. Naval ships. Battleships. They're not battleships per se, but ships for battle. Why? Because we don't have enough sailors. This guy, I mean, they paint a picture. You have to be so deluded. Go ahead.
All the while, we kept America out of war. So I think the American people are safer.
Kept America out of wars. But look at the people who've died at your handiwork. President Trump's 100% right. October 7th would not have happened if he were president of the United States. But don't worry, kept us out of wars. Look at all the people who've died in that war in the Middle East. Look at all the people who've died in Ukraine and Russia too, but in Ukraine as a result of Russia invading Ukraine because Joe Biden sent the signals. Remember, it was something like he said, are we going to do anything if Russia takes it? Remember when he said something like, it depends how much land, Mr. Producer? Depends how much land. So Putin looks at that and says, okay, this much, the whole damn country, and he invades. And he invades. And what alliances is he talking about? They funded Iran. They funded Iran. Go ahead.
The country is better off than we were 4 years ago, and we're handing all that off to the next team as well.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. So Trump's going to fix all this. And it's because it's been handed off to the next team. They believe this crap. Him and Biden and Blinken, they believe their own BS. I think. It's incredible. It's like inflation's been defeated. No, inflation is worse than it's been. The border's closed. Remember, they told us the border's closed for 3.5 years. The border's closed. No, it's not. Remember, they told us crime is down and how they're lying about the crime statistics. This is who they are. They're slobs. They're liars. Go ahead.
It's having the engines of American power humming, our economy, our technology, our defense.
Oh, my Lord. Does this guy have dementia, too? He may. Did he smoke marijuana as a youth? He might have. How about, did he sniff glue? I'm not saying he did, but something's not right with this pea brain. Go ahead.
Real base, our supply chains. So the United States is in a stronger, more secure position, and our competitors and adversaries are weaker.
God help us. These guys can't go fast enough. What's today's date? The 13th? They're out of here in 7 days. He's got his pre-pardons he's getting ready now, and he took millions of dollars that were supposed to go to the state of Israel, and he gave them to Hezbollah. Did you see that, Mr. Producer? This guy's a whack job. These people are nuts. Is the Middle East better off than it was before? No. Is Europe better off than it was before? No. Had Russia invaded Ukraine? No. Did we have a slaughter in Afghanistan? No. Didn't we have the Abraham Accords rather than Israel attacked on 7 sides? Yes. What are they talking about? The communist Chinese are in our hemisphere? I said, we used to have a Monroe Doctrine. Apparently not anymore. They're in Central America. They're in South America. What is this clown talking about? And by the way, on his watch. We have 2 astronauts that are sitting out there in outer space hoping that Elon Musk can bring them back. For those who hate Elon Musk, hoping that Elon Musk can bring them back. Everything they've touched has turned into you-know-what. Everything. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You voted big government out and efficient government in. Well, now it's time to trim the fat from big wireless. If you're still on the other big name providers, I have one question. Why? Pure Talk, my cell phone company, gives you the exact same service on the exact same towers with better customer service because they're based right here in the United States, all for half the cost. That's right. There's simply no need to spend $85 or $100 per person on your wireless bill. Not when you can get unlimited talk, text, and 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot. Just $35 a month. My friends, the average family of 4 could save about $1,000 a year with Pure Talk while enjoying one of America's most dependable 5G networks. So cut the fat out of your wireless bill. Switch to Pure Talk by going to puretalk.com/Levin. Again, puretalk.com/Levin, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month with Pure Talk, America's wireless company. You know, folks, I saw America's Governor Ron DeSantis once again pointing the spear, taking the lead throughout the country to do what's right for America, in this case, Floridians. I am a Floridian. I'm a Floridian. You didn't know that. Yes, you did. So he says, I want to call a special session of the state legislature to deal with President Trump's effort and desire to organize the deportation of illegal aliens, starting with criminals. Governor DeSantis says, well, let's get organized. We need to bring the legislature back. We need to have a special session and go over the issues that we need to address so we can contribute to this in a significant way, both for the people of the United States and the people of Florida. So guess what's going on in the Florida legislature, Mr. Producer? The rhinos. The rhinos. You have the Florida House and Senate leaders who nobody knows. Nobody knows who they are in Florida. Daniel Perez. Hey, Danny. And Senator Albritton. I don't even know his first name. I do, but I don't care. You have Senator Albritton and Representative Daniel Perez who said, I'll just read it to you. As the people's elected representatives, the legislature, not the governor, will decide when and what legislation we consider. It's premature. The 2 leaders said no language for bills has been released. Calling a special session at this time is premature. Here's the problem. If they're going to have a special session, they have to call it immediately. Immediately. That's what they have to do. They need to convene a special session. It isn't premature. It's mature, not premature. And so in order to expedite consideration of new legislation, that is, to begin the process, get the new legislation, expedite its consideration, put it in place to counter illegal immigration, look at the opposition he's getting. They released this ridiculous statement pushing back on DeSantis. You know, people, it must be easy being governor of Florida. And it's not so easy. He's got to deal with many of the same Republicans who we have to deal with, we the people here on this program. And he's got the leadership in the Assembly and in the Senate who want to slow walk this thing. Well, you know, we'll see with it because they don't believe in it. They don't want to deport illegal immigrants. They don't even want to deport the criminals. Mark, how can you say? Because they're not doing anything. That's how. You don't sit on your ass. Trump's got 100 executive orders ready to go. I'm sure, I don't know for a fact, that many of them are focused on this issue, getting this immigration straightened out, He wins a landslide election, including in Florida. DeSantis wins a landslide election in Florida. These are important issues. And we got these schmucks. Well, I don't know. There's not time. We don't have the legislation. This is the difference between leadership and appeasement. This is the difference between leadership and appeasement. So just a suggestion, fellow Floridians. Boy, that sounds good. Although I liked fellow Virginians, too, till we went purple. Anyway, you need to contact your state representatives and your state senators in this legislature now. You thought they would just do the right thing. They're not. Particularly this Perez, who's a leader, they say. He's not a leader. He may have more votes to be at the top. He's no leader. And Albritton in the Senate. Let's see here. We're not aware of any specific guidance provided to the states about action state legislators can take to support forthcoming federal action. It is completely irresponsible to get out ahead of any announcements President Trump will make, especially when uninformed or ill-timed state action could potentially impair or impede the success of President Trump's forthcoming efforts to end illegal immigration, close our borders. Look how they twist this. Look how these two clowns, they think we're stupid. Look how they spin it. We can't do this. We might actually undermine President Trump. Well, maybe President Trump's well aware of it. I'm aware of it. I read it in the media. We look forward to President Trump's inauguration next week and have every confidence he will take swift action to end the flow. See, we'll leave it to Trump. You're a state. You're a big damn state. You got a lot of people who want you to get off your fat asses and do something about this. With regard to I'm just reading what they put out. My God, all the time they spend writing this stuff. The American people clearly, whatever. With regard to the additional issues outlined by the governor this morning, the fact is there are ample funds accessible and available to pay for the state's ongoing disaster response efforts and additional funds. Here's a guy way in front of the curve, way ahead of these two clowns. He wants additional funding to take care of their own disaster relief situation. Compare him to Newsom. Compare DeSantis to Newsom. It's night and day. It's success and failure. And then you have these guys kind of pulling them down. No, we got to, no, we're not going to do that. Florida's Constitution, they say, compels our attendance at a special session unilaterally called by the government. However, the power to convene a special session also resides with the presiding officers and the people's elected representatives. Tell me, does anybody know who Daniel Perez is in Florida? Raise your hand. Even the people in his district don't know who the hell. Daniel Perez. And Albritton. Anybody know who the hell Albritton is? Hey, by the way, Perez and Albritton, feel free to call in. We'd love to chat with you. Just to use you as an example of the kind of Republicans people like me and this audience are sick and tired of. That would be Daniel Perez in Florida and Albritton in Florida. Very powerful men. They're leaders, don't you know? They're the leaders. They even put out their statement, Florida House and Senate leaders declared DeSantis' special session talks for issues like immigration and hurricane relief premature. Talking about hurricane relief is never premature, you morons. And talking about getting your state in line and ready to go on this immigration stuff is long overdue. There, I said it. I'll be right back. You voted big government out and efficient government in. Well, now it's time to trim the fat from big wireless. If you're still on the other big name providers, I have one question. Why? Pure Talk, my cell phone company, gives you the exact same service on the exact same towers with better customer service because they're based right here in the United States, all for half the cost. That's right. There's simply no need to spend $85 or $100 per person on your wireless bill, not when you could get unlimited talk, text, and 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot Just $35 a month. My friends, the average family of four could save about $1,000 a year with Pure Talk while enjoying one of America's most dependable 5G networks. So cut the fat out of your wireless bill. Switch to Pure Talk by going to puretalk.com/Levin. Again, puretalk.com/Levin, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month with Pure Talk, America's wireless company.
The Mark Levin Show, the pool feed for the conservative media. Dive in now. 877-381-3811.
You know, I was so excited about what DeSantis is doing in Florida that it could be an example for all the Republican governors and legislatures on how to really get things done in the Trump era. But you have these rhinos or there's do-nothing Republicans or, this is typical. If you don't have a Trump as president or a DeSantis as governor, this is what you get. Perez and Albritton are Florida legislative leaders, quote unquote. They sound like California Democrats. They're opposing DeSantis's call for a special session. This is what I'm posting. I just wrote it. To deal with the deportation of illegal aliens and further hurricane relief. So these, let me put it accurately. So Perez and Albritton's communications people put together this stupid release that I'm going to attach as an excuse for doing nothing. I encourage Floridians to get involved on these two huge issues. Call your state reps and state senators. Call Perez and Albritton and insist they act immediately. No luck yet, Mr. Producer? No certainty? All right, you're going to have to Google the phone number for the State House and the State Senate yourself and your own representatives, but I'm going to go ahead and post this now because I don't want to put out the wrong number and suddenly you're making calls to some guy at a 7-Eleven in Iowa, if you get my drift. But so enthralled was I with what DeSantis is doing, I had this cut prepared earlier today of what he said at this press conference today. Listen for yourselves. Cut 22, go.
But we have a responsibility to be in this fight. State and local officials in Florida must help the Trump administration enforce our nation's immigration laws. And we are going to need, in order to do that effectively, we are going to need legislation to impose additional duties on local officials and provide funding for those local officials. There also needs to be measures to hold people accountable who are violating our anti-sanctuary policies. And then Florida needs to make sure that we don't have any lingering incentives for people to come into our state illegally. So therefore, I'm going to call the legislature into special session starting the week of January 27th. We have the next president taking office January 20th. We anticipate executive orders to be issued immediately after the swearing in and the inaugural address. We're going to have some time to process to make sure we're doing what we need to do, but then we need to act, and we need to act quickly. We don't have time to waste. The American people spoke very clearly of all the issues out there, and there were a lot of very important issues. This issue of the border and illegal immigration was one of the top issues in the 2024 election and has been one of the top issues that we've had in this country for many, many years. So it will require new legislation in Florida to ensure that the duties of both state and local officials are very clear and that those duties require them to be assisting the federal government in this regard. Now, the state, we're going to do it because I'm going to order that the state does it. Local, I think you're going to have some different views on that. Now, we're not a sanctuary state. We ban sanctuary cities. But you got to have effective accountability to hold those folks accountable if they choose to go in a different direction.
This is what you call a leader. This is a guy who's planning for something. To remove people who shouldn't be here, including very dangerous people, and to prepare for further hurricanes. This is the dream that Californians now have for a governor in their own state. Now you have a Republican legislature, a huge majority, again, thanks to DeSantis. Just like you have a Senate Republican majority in Washington, thanks to Trump. Trump wants his nominees to get through, but that's too much to ask. And DeSantis wants a special session the week after Donald Trump's sworn in and the executive orders are issued so the state can get everything in place and deal with people who are obviously going to try and sabotage the effort, as well as prepare for hurricane season months and months and months and months before hurricane season. This is what you want from a leader. I don't know, Perez and Albritton. What is that, Sacco and Vanzetti? I'm just being honest. I don't know who these guys are. Well, it's too early. It's never too early. It's never too early to deport illegal aliens, particularly criminals. Ask the victims of the crime what they think if it's too early. It's never too early to prepare even more. Not to sit on your laurels for hurricane season. I've never heard anything like this. Have you, Mr. Producer? These are Republicans. Well, you know, what do they got, junkets? They got something going on? I don't know. What, are they busy? What are these two doing down there in Florida? I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on this. Maybe we'll bring DeSantis on. I don't want to put him in a bad position, but as a Floridian, official resident, a.k.a. citizen, a.k.a. legal citizen, I just thought I'd bring this to your attention because I think it's important. Oy, oy, oy. Stuff goes on and on. So I get annoyed. You know, Florida is a unique state in so many ways. There's been a lot of progress, not progressivism, a lot of progress in this state. It has set an example. DeSantis has. DeSantis has. For the whole country, for all these other governors. Whether it has to deal with vaccines, my family and I, many of us anyway, we're lucky to be in Florida when this thing broke out, this pandemic. And we had access to the type of medical solutions that other states did not, because DeSantis fought for it. He refuses to create an income tax. It's a low-tax state. You've got businesses moving in there. You got billionaires moving in there, too, by the way, because they're driving up the price of my house. Oh, that's great. No, that includes the local county taxes. But the point is, they're not leaving. They're bringing their money. They're bringing their assets. They're bringing their businesses and employment. You've got police, particularly from New York City and elsewhere, moving to Florida because they're encouraged. They get a bonus to move to Florida and serve the people of the state. I could go on and on. What's going on in the classrooms? There's no DEI. There's no CRT. There's no pronouns. There's none of this crap. There's no pornographic graphic materials in elementary schools or public schools at all. He's got a solid judiciary that he's appointed over the years. I would say Ron DeSantis has demonstrated what a really conservative, principled politician leader can do in a state with enormous success. People want to live there. They want to live there. Even though there's hurricane after hurricane after hurricane, they want to live there. People are fleeing California. So it's like I say with Trump and his cabinet, give him what he wants. Give him what he wants. And I say in Florida, give DeSantis what he wants. He's not stealing. He's not going on a junk. He's trying to fix stuff. Enormously successful. Give him what he wants. Wants a special session to do what? To raise taxes? No. To deport illegal aliens and to be ready when Trump is ready. To get ready in advance, not to play catch up. And to take further steps, amelioratory steps, to deal with hurricanes. I mean, my God, why would you... it's all kind of premature here, says Perez and Albritton. But if something went wrong, you know who Perez and Albritton would blame? DeSantis. Because that's what weak politicians do. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You voted big government out and efficient government in. Well, now it's time to trim the fat from big wireless. If you're still on the other big name providers, I have one question. Why? Pure Talk, my cell phone company, gives you the exact same service on the exact same towers with better customer service because they're based right here in the United States, all for half the cost. That's right. There's simply no need to spend $85 or $100 per person on your wireless bill, not when you could get unlimited talk, text, and 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspot, just $35 a month. My friends, the average family of four could save about $1,000 a year with Pure Talk while enjoying one of America's most dependable 5G networks. So cut the fat out of your wireless bill. Switch to Pure Talk by going to puretalk.com/Levin. Again, puretalk.com/Levin, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month with Pure Talk, America's wireless company. Christopher Wray on 60 Minutes yesterday. We just heard Joe Biden and Sullivan and the rest of the reprobates tell us how fantastic they've been on foreign policy and national security. And there's Christopher Wray. Cut 8, go.
China's cyber program is by far and away the world's largest, bigger than that of every major nation combined, and has stolen more of Americans' personal and corporate data than that of every nation, big or small, combined. But even beyond the cyber theft, there's another part of the Chinese cyber threat that I think has not gotten the attention publicly that it, I think, desperately deserves, and that is Chinese government's pre-positioning on American civilian critical infrastructure to lie in wait on those networks, to be in a position to wreak havoc and can inflict real-world harm at a time and place of their choosing.
The Chinese have already insinuated malware into critical American infrastructure.
That's correct.
Like what?
Things like water treatment plants. We're talking about transportation systems. We're talking about targeting of our energy sector, the electric grid, natural gas pipelines. And recently, we've seen targeting of our telecommunications system.
This is why I get sick and tired of the isolationists and the rest of them. These countries are at war with us. A different kind of war. But they pull the trigger and all these systems go out. Now, you just heard this clown Sullivan talk about how we're in a better place than we ever were, and we're going to turn it over to the next team, and just on every foreign policy front, every night. The Communist Chinese on their watch have infiltrated our country. The Islamists on their watch have infiltrated our country, our colleges and universities. We have a hell of a problem on our hands, and I'm not sure we know exactly what to do about it. And at the same time, they have flatline defense spending. Flatline defense spending. And my problem with Christopher Wray, among many, is, okay, but you failed miserably at obviously convincing your president, your boss, Joe Biden, to do anything about it in any significant way, or the intelligence agencies. It's all well and good to tell us this now on your way out the door, pal. But you're in charge. You're in charge. And these same doofuses, the Democrats in the Senate, are going to have to Kash Patel because Kash Patel is proactive. He'll confront these things. He'll want to do something about it. And he's highly qualified in this field, as well as others. So Christopher Wray, there he is again, telling us what the problem is, telling us how bad this problem is, telling us that these people have malware in all of our critical infrastructure areas. And we got a problem on our hands, but you're that director of the friggin' FBI. What did you do about it? And what did the idiot in the Oval Office do about it? I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Special counsel report on Hunter Biden was just released. just released, literally, during the course of this program. It slams Joe Biden's comments as gratuitous and wrong, writes USA Yesterday. A report released today, hours ago, actually less than an hour ago, from the special counsel behind the prosecutions against Hunter Biden slammed President Joe Biden's comment in issuing a pardon for his son. Oh, Joe's not done. In a press release on his decision to issue a full and unconditional pardon for Hunter covering 11 years. Yeah, the guy was on a crime spree, for God's sakes. The president criticized the prosecutions of his son as infected by raw politics and a miscarriage of justice. Now, that drew the ire of special counsel David Weiss, who led the prosecutions that resulted in convictions for Hunter on tax and gun-related charges. Let me tell you, the case against Hunter, all of them, slam dunks. Slam dunks. Nothing unique in the law, not pushing the edge of the envelope, no constitutional issues, slam dunks. Weiss wrote in his report, this statement is gratuitous and wrong. Other presidents have pardoned family members, but in so doing, none have taken the occasion as an opportunity to malign the public servants at the Department of Justice based solely on false accusations, he wrote. A White House spokesperson didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. A spokesperson for Abby Lowell, Hunter Biden's lawyer, also didn't respond. A jury convicted Hunter Biden on real laws, by the way, on June 11 of lying on a federal form about his drug use, lying to a gun dealer, illegally possessing a gun. This is all the gun control freaks. You know, Biden's a gun control. Hey, we need more rules. We need more laws. You mean like the one your son violated? Excuse me, like the multiple ones your son violated. Lied on a federal form about using drugs. Lied to a gun dealer, illegally possessed a gun as a drug user addict. 3 strikes and you're a Biden. The president's son also pleaded guilty to several tax crimes. So he pled guilty to tax crimes. And, of course, Farrah didn't come up because the statute of limitations ran on that. So they got away with that. The guy was a one-man wrecking ball crime spree, like Daddy. Like Daddy. Tax crimes carried a maximum of 17 years. The penalty for the gun crimes capped at 25 years. Although typical sentences are less and the judges didn't have to give Hunter Biden any jail or prison time. Look how the reporters take care of him. Trumpets, throw the buck! President's pardon not only freed Hunter from the risk of time behind bars for those convictions, excuse me, but also shielded him from any other federal prosecutions over Let me read their language. Other federal prosecutions overcover potential crimes committed. Is that English, Mr. Producer? Weiss defended the prosecutions of the report, saying they resulted from impartial investigation. The president's comments undermine, quote, the very foundation of what makes America justice, fair, and equitable. Now, after Biden's pardon, Weiss said he couldn't comment on any other potential charges against Hunter Biden. It would be inappropriate. Now, isn't that interesting? Let's stop right there. He said it would be inappropriate to discuss whether additional charges are warranted. Now, there's a report that's about to be released at some point by the rogue, unconstitutional, illegal former special counsel who has retired. Maybe he goes back to The Hague. On Donald Trump. When it was ruled that he's unconstitutional, that is, Smith, he's got no problem commenting on things where he couldn't get convictions or plea deals. One of the potential avenues for charges was the Foreign Agents Registration Act. I just told you about that. Hunter Biden balked at the plea deal because he was concerned about other potential charges. Excuse me. And it goes on. So there you have it. Notice they never got to the bottom of the cocaine that was found at the White House, Mr. Producer. Just like John Roberts never got to the bottom of who leaked the draft of the Dobbs decision. They know who was using coke at the White House, and Roberts knows who leaked the draft Dobbs decision. Cover-up. Both of them are cover-ups. To protect the guilty. No question about that. Wouldn't be hard to get to the bottom of either of those, would it? No, not in the least. All right, let's see here. What did I do with that? Mr. Producer. What did I do with my... There it is. Bear with me, folks. Yep. So, Democrat Senator Markey from Massachusetts. This guy's been a congressman forever. Now he's a senator. He's a real sick bastard, this guy. L.A. fires are climate disasters, but stoked by Trump. More death coming. Thank you, Massachusetts, for sending one of your mental patients to the United States Senate. I guess you didn't want to pay for his care anymore. We have Breitbart actresses Yvette Nicole Brown and Kim Whitley call the L.A. fire criticism of Mayor Bass racist. Actually, I call them racists and bigots for even suggesting such a thing. People lose their lives and their homes and God knows what. Don't criticize the mayor. It's racist. Two stupid actresses. Hollywood's filled with stupid actresses. Illegal migrant arrested amid arson fears. L.A. Fire Chief Kristen Crowley doubles down on throwing Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass under the bus. I think she was just fired by the mayor, wasn't she, Mr. Producer? I think so. If I'm wrong, arrest me. But I think that's right. But who takes the cake here? Jen Psaki, MSLSD's journalist. Isn't that funny? Jen Psaki. I believe we have an audio of her, don't we, Mr. Producer? Yes. Listen to Jen Psaki, another Democrat Party radical kook Biden plant. She worked for Obama, too. Go.
And with these fires still burning, we are facing important questions about how to mitigate and prevent disasters like this in the future.
No, actually, we're not, because we know what to do. We just need to get the right people to do it, genius. Go ahead.
And a very complicated and challenging reality moving forward.
Yes, it's too complicated. Nobody can do it. That's right. You should at least spend time working as governor. You should at least spend time not kowtowing to the radical left environmental kooks, the degrowth movement, the Marxists. It's very complicated, you know. Go ahead.
Is not exactly what is happening. Instead, Donald Trump and his allies
hold on. Donald Trump's fault. Donald Trump, Psaki, has been bringing this up for years. He's been warning the governor. Governor's done next to nothing. The governor lied about it in a report I read on the air to you folks the other day. Lied about it. How much undergrowth that they had removed. He lied. Go ahead.
Half-truths, misinformation, and flat-out lies.
That would be you. Half-truth, misinformation. That would be you, Psaki. You lied for years for Biden. You knew he was a head job, and you still lied for him for years, and you lied for him for years, even as they were plotting and planning to renominate him until it became obvious that you couldn't lie anymore. Why are you on TV as a journalist? Why? But then again, I could ask that to 1,001 others. Go ahead.
In order to score a version of political points, I suppose.
No, he's not trying to score political points. You may have found out he won a landslide election. He's never going to run for office again. He's not scoring political points. He's telling the truth, you idiot. People are dead. They've lost their homes. They've lost their pets. They've lost everything. And there you are, playing defense for Newsom, the way you played defense for Biden when people lost their lives in Afghanistan and lost their lives on the border. You're a jerk. I don't know why you're even on MSNBC. What's with this Comcast that owns MSNBC? When the hell are they going to get down to business over there? Go ahead.
We saw something similar play out.
Shut up, you idiot. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
So Sullivan, not Ed Sullivan, the guy that's the National Security Advisor. Ed Sullivan was actually quite smart. Jake Sullivan relieving the next team. Just a fantastic situation. Well, J.D. Vance says, hold on there, little fella. Not exactly. He was on Fox News Sunday. Cut 18, go.
Well, look, first of all, I wish Joe Biden all the best, but the fact is he has left us dumpster fire, not just at the border, but also with the economy. First of all, we know that prices are way too high for many Americans. We have to work every single day to stabilize prices for American families. But Shannon, everything that he's bragging about ignores the fact that he has added trillions and trillions of dollars to the federal debt during a time of peace. He has left us with bond yields, meaning how are we going to finance that debt? We have to sell Treasury bonds. And the Treasury bonds have gotten more expensive because of Joe Biden's policies. So you go issue after issue. Oil prices are now shooting through the roof in the final 2 months of Joe Biden's administration, in part because of decisions that Joe Biden has made over the last few weeks. He actually hasn't left the American people in good economic condition. That's why they made Donald J. Trump the president-elect of the United States. So we've got a lot of work to do. I remain fundamentally, and you know this, Shannon, I'll always be an optimist about our country. But I think that optimism has to start with a bit of realism. And the real truth is that Joe Biden has left us a dumpster fire. Donald Trump is going to have to put it out, but he's good at doing that.
But it is a mess. It is a mess. Now, Michael Cohen is out there begging for a pardon. Begging for a pardon. I don't think he'll get one, but you never know with Joe. Here he is on MSNBC. Now, keep in mind, why would any reputable platform have Michael Cohen on? Because MSNBC is not reputable. That's why. That's why. Cut 21, go.
Regarding the pardon, yeah, I put in the application for a presidential pardon because I believe that Joe Biden has the same responsibility to me that he had to his own son. And I would expect that the same exact pardon that he gave his son has to go to me and to anybody else that's on that enemies list, whether they want it or not. Because I assure you, solitary confinement where I did 51 days sucks.
I don't understand his point. He already served. He just wants a clean record for now. So it's not like it would actually affect the time that he did. He wants a clean record now, you see. And let's say you're sympathetic to this guy, all three people out there who might be. Judge Merchan, Alvin Bragg, and maybe one other homeless guy or something. Let's say you are. Is this an effective argument to make to Biden, Mr. Producer? Hey, you gave one to your son. I should get one, too. Anybody else who's on that list should get one. What list are you on, dip crap? What list are you on? There's no point in prosecuting you anymore. You already served your time. You pled guilty, blah, blah, blah. It's all over. So go crawl back under your rock, will you? What a schmuck. You know what's going to happen as a result of that goon there, that thug? Same thing that happened with Dean. Dean commits an offense. He serves 6 months. He's counseled to President Trump. And as a result of that, states throughout the country pass a continuing legal education. So all of us now, depending on who you are and what state you're in, 10, 12, 14 hours of continuing legal education on everything and anything. What's a woman? And the legal consequences. Excuse me? Oh, yes. Or those compelling, intriguing courses on estate planning, Mr. Producer. Or commercial real estate. Excuse me, I don't do it. Oh, yes, commercial real estate. That's a very popular one there. And it's popular because it's like 2 credits with 2 credits for ethics. Don't get me started. You don't want to know all this. But we all have to do this. And MSNBC, having gone to Cohen, they go to the next reprobate, Mark Elias. Remember that jackass? Remember that slip and fall lawyer? Running from state to state to change the campaign laws so Democrats can't lose? Yeah, that putz. That's right, pal. You're a putz. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And you look like a pig. May I say that, Mr. Producer? I think I just did. So they bring him on. What's this jerk have to say? Cut 26. Go.
You can't make sense of it. I think that Andrew calling it weak tea is about as strong as you can describe it. I mean, we just have to, I feel like I'm channeling, honestly.
This is Donald Trump not getting a penalty. And Andrew, that must be Andrew Weissman. Another hitman who shouldn't be anywhere near a federal prosecutor's office, and yet he was a federal prosecutor. How many people did he screw, I wonder? Go ahead.
Deal here. Let's just be real for a second. Okay?
Yeah, let's be real.
The fact is that Donald Trump committed crimes in the state of New York, right?
You know what, schmuck? You know what, punk? We know exactly what happened in the state of New York. And one day, the rest of the country should be so lucky that it happens to you. That's right. Phony judge, phony prosecutor, phony charges. But in your case, we're hoping that you go to a very difficult prison. And that you're put in a cage with a guy named Bruce. What do you think of that, Mr. Producer? I'll be right back.
Mark Levin, the thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
Attention, America. Yellow. All right, let's go. Let us go to Janet, Long Island, New York, the great WABC. Janet, are you there?
Yes, I am, Mark, and thanks for taking the call. I'll try to be brief. A few years back, I taught a confirmation course for several years at our church to young teenagers. And at the end of the class, I would always play the God Bless America version that you play at the end of the show. And first off, I can't remember the fellow who sang it. I'm thinking Louis Armstrong, but I know it's not him.
Ray Charles.
Anyway, Ray Charles, right. Anyway, I just thought you'd enjoy hearing it.
That's wonderful.
If class ran late, the kids, and I'd say, okay, we got to pack up. At the end, they'd say, what about God Bless America? And they'd end up doing the wave, etc. I know that's not
By the way, you sound like a lovely lady, and I'll bet that was a wonderful class. That's just great. All right, my friend. Janet, you take care of yourself. Great job. Joseph, Los Angeles, California, XM satellite listening there. How are you doing and how's it going?
Good, sir. Thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure to speak to you. You're a modern-day Rush Limbaugh, and
thank you.
I can't say enough about your thinking, your mind, your intellect. It's brilliant.
You forgot my good looks, but go right ahead.
What boggles my mind so much now with these fires that are out of control, which could have been completely avoided if had they listened and done the right thing. That's another story altogether. But for the last 4 years, we've been bringing this oil in, 80% of it from countries that hate us: Iraq, Iran, Venezuela. But what these climate alarmists failed to talk about over the last 4 years is these oil tankers that are 1,000 feet long come 30 days here. They burn 800 gallons an hour of bunker fuel. That's 16,000 gallons a day for 30 days, and then they go back empty. They release over 400 metric tons of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere every day. Now,
that's more than Rosie O'Donnell. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
How do you know all this? It sounds like you're schooled in this.
Well, no, I've done research. I've looked it up, and the data is out there. All you have to do is look on the internet.
So it's an enormous use of natural resources to bring it here the way the left wants us to.
Yes, and before we would get it through a pipe from Texas, from Russia, from Canada, from all under pipe, not on a ship. For the last 4 years, we're getting it on these ships all around the United States. You think from Alaska to Washington to Oregon to California, all the way around Texas to New York, all the way around the country. This oil comes from Venezuela, comes from Iraq, Iran. We were energy independent. When Trump left office, oil was $36 a barrel. It hit a high of $120.
Jeez.
With this previous administration, when he talks about drill, baby, drill, there's energy. And when you think about the price of eggs and milk and everything with FedEx and UPS, it's all because of energy. It's all because of oil. This country was founded on oil. But what they don't talk about as it relates to these wildfires is they're saying this is a direct result because of climate change. They've been having these fires in California for decades. This is nothing new.
They've been having them for centuries. You want to know the truth?
Yeah, that's
and
right.
And you're 100% right. What's new is this this radical ideology and these zealots who promote it. And when you're making decisions channeled through a radical ideology, you're making bad decisions. You're not making decisions based on science or experience or common sense. The decisions you're making are based on your ideological demands. And your ideological demands are that nature is supreme, that leave the forests alone, that humans shouldn't be using water, and that humans are the bad guys. And so this is the belief set. And so they always fall back because of their ideology, their failure, their incompetence, their refusal to follow the science. They always fall back, oh, it's climate change, it's climate change, it's worse than it's ever been before, it's climate change. No, they make it worse than it's ever been before. All right, Joseph, thank you for your call. I appreciate you, buddy. Good call. Let's see here. We have, I think, David in Staten Island, New York, the great WABC. David, are you there?
Mr. Levin, I have one thing to say. One of my greatest fears I'm here seeing. What happens when a convicted felon crosses paths with a convicted felon? What is the law regarding such? I think they're going to use that against Trump in the future, or for the rest of his life, should I say.
What happens when a convicted felon crosses with a convicted felon? Well, this convicted felon crap is not going to stand. I don't know what the New York appellate court's going to do, but one day, even the two cowards on the Supreme Court are going to have to take up this case if, in fact, the New York court does not give Trump a clean bill of health. So this process goes on. We'll see where it lands. But eventually, I hope it goes to the Supreme Court where they can remedy this for the entire country in every state, and it'll never happen again. But it's going to require Roberts and Barrett to actually act like serious justices who want to uphold the Constitution, as Rehnquist and Scalia would have. Thank me for your call, sir. God bless us. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Mr. Producer, I don't have it in front of me. Senator Barrasso was very excited over the weekend talking about what's coming from Donald Trump. Can you play that cut, please?
Starting Tuesday, 13 of the picks are going to be up for questioning. Leader Thune told us last Sunday he suspects a lot will get through, but we'll see about all of them. Which nominees are you certain will be confirmed by January 20th?
Well, let's start with, we were elected. Republicans are now in the House, the Senate, and the White House because Americans wanted safety and prosperity. So you're right. The rubber hits the road this week with all of these hearings on the cabinet. And then when President Trump takes office next Monday, there is going to be shock and awe with executive orders, a blizzard of executive orders on the economy as well as on the border. So when we met with President Trump earlier this past week, what President Trump said the number one goal for the Senate needs to be to get his team in place. I've met with just about all of them. I support every one of these nominees. As the whip, my job is to make sure they get across the finish line, get on the job, and President Trump deserves a team early. Chuck Schumer said he wants to make fireworks at the hearings. If that happens, we are going to work around the clock, through the night, through weekends, to make sure we get that cabinet confirmed.
So understand, the enemy of the people is Chuck Schumer. The insurrectionist is Chuck Schumer. The election denier is Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is the epitome of evil, as he's been the vast majority of his life. I was watching him, in part, at the ceremonies for Jimmy Carter in the hall there on the Capitol. And he's hunched over And he waddles up. I'm not kidding. And I said, this guy is just so grotesque in every respect. Physically, mentally, politically. He just is. And this is all he does, is he smears people. He tries to destroy people, whether it's Trump, whether it's Netanyahu, whether it's anybody who he doesn't like who comes up for confirmation. I want to remind you, before he was the majority leader, now minority leader, he sat on the Senate Judiciary Committee. He sat on the House Judiciary Committee. And he used those positions to smear people. The guy's got no soul. He's got no conscience whatsoever. And that's who Chuck Schumer is. He's a lowlife, in so many words. He's a lowlife. Speaking of lowlives, this guy Mayorkas. Sarah Arnold over at Town Hall. Mayorkas grants amnesty to 850,000 illegals, blames bad weather as the reason. So while all of you are doing other things, watching football, watching my show, whatever you do, this is what this guy is doing. In a move that has many critics up in arms, Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro has granted amnesty to 850,000 illegal aliens, further exacerbating concerns about the Biden administration's border policies. With just days away from being outgoing President Joe Biden's last week in office, critics argue that this decision, which effectively shields hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens from deportation, signals an alarming disregard for the rule of law, sets a dangerous precedent for future immigration enforcement. With the U.S. southern border already overwhelmed by record numbers of illegal crossings, conservatives contend this blanket amnesty stabs Trump in the back. But it stabs everybody in the back. Just days left as Biden's border czar, Mayorkas announced the 18-month expansion of the temporary protection status amnesty. I mean, that's appalling, is it not? Now, H-1B visas. Let me pull this up here. H-1B visas. You know, nobody understands what this means. I bet Bannon doesn't know what it means. I'm not even sure Elon Musk knows what it means. I'm serious about it. People bring it up all the time. The visa is awarded to non-immigrant aliens. That is, people who are not planning to immigrate here, non-immigrant aliens, who are in a specialty occupation, a list that we provide, that requires a highly specialized knowledge. An employer who wants to bring such a person in the United States must go through a bureaucratic process with 3 different agencies: the Department of Labor, Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of State. It's a 2-part process. You need approval from the Department of Labor. The employer submits a labor condition application and then gets approval by DHS for an H-1B status. The State Department issues the visa. The Department of Labor's Wage and Hour Division enforces the employer's labor condition application obligations. Does that sound simple to you, Mr. Producer? This was provided to me by somebody named Julie Strauss Levin, my wife, who knows this stuff as well as everything else. It's amazing. So this is a much more complex process than one. You can't just steal across the border and say, hey, I'm a specialty person. No, and they're non-immigrants. They come in, they do a job, and they leave. Many of them don't even want to stay. So why would we shut this down even when it's capped? It's capped. Why would we do that? It's foolish. Again, if we want homegrown labor, more people hired who have these specialties, then let's expand the economy. And Trump wants to do that with his tax program, his other programs. He's got a whole agenda ready to roll. And I'm telling you now, if there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Republicans in the Senate who are in the majority thanks to Trump and you and me, who sabotage this, there's going to be no end to us seeking to ensure that they are defeated. Period. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine. God bless you. The men and women in Israel, we're with you. And you, the American people, red-blooded Yanks. You saved the country, you saved the world. And I'll see you tomorrow. God bless.